Welcome back guys, hope you're all doing great. And today's in this video we're gonna learn how to build this nice mobile app by using React Native and Sanity. Okay, let me show you what exactly we're gonna build in this project. You can see we have a live website over here where you can able to add the categories and the items and everything, which is currently live. And this is a website which helps us to update the data, and we are sharing the data through the APIs. And this is the mobile application which is accessing all these data through the API, and it will displaying all these categories and items and everything. So let me click get started over here. You can see it's displaying all the categories whatever we having over here. Okay, so right now it's showing all the categories lively from this data API. Okay, so let me add a new category over here. So let me click create, and let's create the title as music, and let me search for some pictures over here. So Pixabay, let's go to the Pixabay. Okay, so here I'll search for music. So let's say I'm choosing this one. So let me download this, free download. I think still my account is logging in. Yeah, now if I click download, the image will be downloaded. And let me go back to my website, and I click and drag this and drop it in this place. That will upload that image. It's taking some time to upload it, and give some in the description about that category. Listen to the music, something like that. Okay, so all I have to do is to click publish. Yes, that category is being published right now. Currently you can't see that category over here, but once you refresh it, that will pull that updated data directly into your mobile app. Where is that? It is supposed to come right now. Refresh. Look at that. See, over here it's taking some time, but it's getting the data back immediately. Okay, so see here, now we have that the category which we created, which is currently coming from live. Okay, and if you scroll down, you can see it's having this nice amazing masonry layout. Okay, every time whenever you're refreshing, it will be shuffled up and it will be aligned properly. See, now the size of the category is a little bit bigger, and it will be adjusted properly according to the perfectly according to the screen sizes. Okay, so now let's go ahead and click these items, and just like the same way you can add a new item. So over here, these are the items so far we had it. So if we click the new item, and you can add a new item. So let me search for another image. So let me choose this one. That is Shutterstock. So let's choose some other images. Let's get back to music. So let's say if I'm downloading this image, click this download, and let me come over here and let's say music app or something. Let's say description about the music, like free music or something. Free musics. Let's select and drop that image over here. Fine, it's uploading. Now we need to choose a category, on what category this image is being uploaded. So whenever I click this, so it's a music category. We all know that it's a music category. If I click it, I need to list out all the items which comes under this music category. So I need to click add item, and let me choose the list of categories whatever we have in our hand. It's loading. Okay, it's taking some time to load, and I'll choose the music, and that music item will be added over here. And if I click refresh, all right, so now we have our music item, and I think it's published right now. The content is published. So now if I refresh this, refresh it 3 to 4 times, like click get started, and if I click music, look at that, it's loading that image, and we have that data which we added over there. It's currently over here. And now if I click that image, that will be displayed in a full screen, how it's exactly going to look in the mobile screen. So if the user wish to download this image, you can see that's the name of the music app, that the name of that image and the description of this image. And if I click download option, that will be downloaded in the local space. Okay, so you can see here it's showing as image saved, and let me get back to the gallery, and you can see we have that image saved in our local gallery. Okay, so this is what exactly we're going to build in this project. I hope you guys are so excited. So without wasting your time, let's jump into the video. Okay guys, so now what we need to do, let's create a new project folder. So let's create a new folder over here, and I'm going to say this folder name as image share YouTube. Okay, so let me open it in the terminal. Click new terminal folder. Let me bring the terminal over here, make it bigger, and code space dot. Let's open it in the Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you can use your favorite editors, but I'm used to it, this Visual Studio Code. And let me bring the terminal over here. So basically we are using the React Native, and we are going to use the React Native Expo to create our React Native application. So let me bring the browser over here. Okay, so if you search for React Native, not animations, just React Native, and let's go to the React Native documentation, official documentation. If you're learning any new technologies for the first time, so take your time and go through the documentation, official documentation. It will really helps you to understand their concepts much better. So click get started over here, and you can see we have two different options to create a React Native application. So the reason why we are using the React Native, it's exactly quite same as the React.js. If you are good at React.js, then React Native, it's easy for you to understand and work with that features and everything. And over here we have two different frameworks like Expo and React Native CLI. We have two different CLIs to work with your React Native: Expo, Go, and React Native CLI. If you are a beginner, it's very good to start with the Expo Go. If you are an intermediate or advanced level coder in for mobile application, it's better to start with the React Native CLI. Okay, so we're going to use the Expo CLI. So to start with the Expo CLI, we're going to use the Expo CLI. We need to install this Expo CLI. So Expo CLI. If you search for Expo CLI, this is the one we're going to use it. So we need to install this Expo CLI globally in our machine. Then we can use it for our projects and everything. So if you search for Expo CLI npm over here, Expo CLI npm, so that will download. So in npm install Expo CLI. So we're going to install the Expo CLI globally, and we're going to create our Expo project. So let me get back to the Visual Studio Code over here. So first command, you need to run npm install -g, that's for globally, and you need to say Expo CLI. So this will download and install the latest version in your machine. So if you press enter, so that will download the Expo CLI globally in your machine. So for me, I think I already downloaded the latest version, but still let me download it one more time. It's loading. I think my internet connection is a bit slow. So let it download, and then we'll continue from there. All right then, so for me it's finally downloaded. So now what we need to do, we need to make sure whether the Expo CLI is globally accessible or not. So let's say Expo CLI, or just say Expo -version. So that I think it's hyphen, yeah, not hyphen, Expo -version. That will gives you the version number over here. Okay, so it's showing 6.3.2. So we are done now. We install the Expo CLI. Now we need to log into your Expo. So if you're having any account in the Expo and all those things, just type Expo login. So that will takes you to the login online portal, and you can authenticate your Gmail account so that you can keep track all your Expo projects over there. So if you press Expo login, so that will takes you. So for me, I already logged in with my username over there, so that's the reason it's showing my username. And if you want to log in as a new user, I need to press S. So that will takes me to the browser. It asks me to log in with my account. Okay, so in this case, I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to terminate it. So clear it, and now I need to create a new project. So we're going to create the new project in this exact same folder itself. So let's say Expo init. Expo init helps us to initialize a new project. Okay, so and then you need to give your folder name, what exact folder name that you're going to use for your project. In this case, I'm going to use the exact same name, so I'm just going to say dot slash. So if I press enter, so that will trigger this command npx create expo app hyphen hyphen template. So template basically it will provide you three different options: blank tabs along with the tabs. If you want to create a tabs like the navigation tabs, you can choose this, but in this case, of course, we're going to build everything from the ground, so I'm going to choose the blank, but we're not going to use the TypeScript, we're going to use the JavaScript. So choose the blank, and this will start downloading all the required packages for our expo application. And of course, it's using yarn. If you're not using yarn, you need to install the yarn. So to install yarn, just like the same way, you need to run the command npm install -g yarn. Okay, so please go ahead and download and install the yarn in your machine. Okay, so this will take some time, so let's wait until it gets done. So I'm going to pause it, so please wait until it gets done. All right then, so my project is successfully created. So the next step is we need to run this. So to run this, you need to run yarn start. So basically you can run the React Native application in Android and iOS and including the web. Or if you're having your own, if you're not having that much configured PC or a laptop, you can use your own mobile phone to check the Expo project and everything. So let me show you what are the different ways to run the project. Okay, so over here, so let me start yarn start, enter. So if I trigger this yarn start, so for me it's showing my, okay, so let me stop it 1 second because my app is running behind with my simulator is running behind with the different projects. That's the reason it's showing that issue. So now if I run it now, it will be fine. Okay, still showing the same issue. Social media, I think I closed it, but still it's showing the same. Let's use the same. Okay, so let's use this different port now. Okay, so now the problem is solved. So it's not around now, it's running in a different Metro bundler. So you can see this is the QR code. You can run this app in your mobile phone just by using Expo. Search for Expo Go app. You can download this Expo Go app from your Play Store and your App Store. So go ahead, please download that app, and once you downloaded it, all you have to do is to come back and open that app, scan this QR code. That will run this project lively in your mobile app. So otherwise, if you're using the simulators like Android simulators and iOS simulators, you can directly run them in your Android simulators. If you want to check this Android simulator, you need to download the Android Studio. So you need to download this Android Studio and you need to create your Android simulator. So please take your time and go ahead and download the Android Studio and follow their documentations to how to create simulators and everything. So you can follow through their documentation, so that will really helps you to create that Android simulator. So in this case, I'm going to use this iOS simulator. If you're using Mac or MacBook, you need to download the Xcode. So open your App Store and search for Xcode. Let me bring the App Store and search for Xcode. So you need to download this one to run your iOS simulator. You need to keep this Xcode updated so that it will work perfectly and smoothly. So go ahead and please download this and you can start create your simulators. So over here, so now in this case, I'm going to run this in my iOS simulator. So I'll just need to press I. If you're using Android, press A, and you can run it in your web itself. If you want to run it in your web, you need to press W. So that will gives you the list of let's say if I want to run it in the, it's loading my iOS simulator. So let's wait. Once it is loaded, yeah, it's opened. It's loading. Opening the iOS simulator. This might take a moment. So it's loading. For the first time boot up, initial boot up will take some time. So please wait until it's loaded up properly. It's loading. All right, so now it started loading the project and it's downloading the app bundlers and everything. 6.3% loaded. 32, 11, 32. It's loading, loading, loading. And it's going to be done. Come on, why it's taking this much long? Yeah, and look at that. Now we have our app up and running. So in our simulator, and if you wish to run it in your web, like if you need to press W, all you have to do press W. So that will gives you the list of packages to be downloaded and to run the your app in your web. You need to download these packages and you need to reload your server. Okay, in this case I'm not going to use this. I'm just going to reload this app so that it will reload our IO simulator. Fine. Okay, so now we have our app up and running in our simulator. So the next task is going to be how to install the native wind, the Tailwind CSS. We're going to use the native wind to install the Tailwind CSS with our React Native application. So that's what we're going to do next. All right then, so now let us open the browser. Let's open the browser over here, and here let me make it bigger and let me bring this to a separate tab. Okay, so that we can keep track of it. Yeah, fine. So here now what we need to do, let's search for Tailwind CSS. Tailwind CSS is the modern CSS framework which helps us to build the UI much faster. Okay, we're going to use the Tailwind CSS, but you can't directly use the Tailwind CSS in your React application because we need to search for Expo Native Wind. So this is the package that you need to download to use the Tailwind CSS in your React application. So click the Expo Native Wind. So that will provide you a nice documentation to configure the Tailwind CSS with your React Native. So here you need to download this package. So copy this command and get back to your terminal and create a new terminal. Let's say and paste it over here, yarn add native wind. So this will download the Tailwind CSS packages, and let's get back over here and copy this developer Tailwind CSS also. So let's paste that one too. So that will download and install that. What's the next step? We need to set up the Tailwind CSS by running this command Tailwind CSS init. So that will create the Tailwind config.js. So copy this Tailwind init. Since we are using yarn, we need to type yarn Tailwind CSS init. So that will create the Tailwind config file over here. Now we have the Tailwind config file. Next, what is the step? So here we need to replace this content line. Okay, so copy this content line, copy it, and then replace this content line. So over here it's checking for app.js. If so, it will keep track this app.js if there is any changes made by Tailwind CSS. If you're adding any utility classes in this app or any other files which comes under a custom directory, you need to supply the folder name to keep track whatever the changes that's happening in your app files. It's need to keep track. So the Tailwind CSS will regenerate the custom CSS for you. Okay, so over here instead of custom directory, I'm going to give it as screens because that is going to be my folder, screens. So over here I'm going to create a new folder called screens. Okay, new folder called screens. So give that exact name over here, screens. Fine. So save the changes. Then what we need to do, let's get back over here and we need to update this Babel plugin. So copy this plugin and go to your Babel config.js, open the Babel config, and right after here paste it. Then what we need to do, all we have to do, that's it. We are done with the configuration. That's next what we need to do. We just need to write the utility classes of the Tailwind CSS. Before jumping into writing the Tailwind CSS utility classes, all you have to do, download an extension which is really helps you to work with Tailwind CSS much faster. So search for Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. you need to download this Tailwind CSS IntelliSense, which really helps you to work with the Tailwind CSS much faster. And along with this, you need to search for ES7 React snippets. Search for ES7 React snippets. This is the one, ES7 React Redux React Native snippets. So go ahead and please download this extension also, which helps you to really work with the React projects or React Native applications much faster. So it will create the code snippets much faster. Okay, so let me close this, and let me close this also, close this, and get back to the file explorer over there, and let me open my app.js. So here we have this bunch of code which is currently displaying this information. And since our app is up and running, so we updated our babel config.js. So you need to restart your server. So let me stop the server for the time being. And over here, let me delete the entire stuff. Control A, delete, or Command A, delete it. And we're gonna use this command snippets shortcuts like RNFE, React Native Functional Export Component. So press the tab, that will create an arrow function component to work with your React Native. Okay, so over here, class name. So class name is going to be flex1. So this is why we installed the the Tailwind CSS snippets. So now it's showing the suggestions. That's the reason we installed the Tailwind CSS IntelliSense. So flex1, so which basically should occupy the complete space, and I'm gonna say item center. So you need to understand the flex box over here. When it comes to websites, basically if you're using flex by default, it is in a row direction. But when it comes to mobile app development, if it's a flex, that means it is in a column direction. By default, it's a column direction. In case if you want to arrange anything in a row direction, you need to mention specifically like flex row. It's quite opposite what we used to write it in the web and the React Native. And in the React Native, everything is over here view, but when it comes to website, that it will be assumed as a division. Over there we have h1 tag, paragraph tags and everything, but here we have only a common tag called text. Okay, so don't worry, it's not a drastic change, it's just a small changes here and there, so you will be used to it. Okay, now everything will be arranged, aligned center, item center and justify center. Okay, and let me change the color for this text as well. Class name is equals, let's say text blue, let's give it as 500, and text Excel, that's a font size I'm going to use, it's a 20 pixel, so let's give it as 24 pixel, and font it's going to be semi bold. All right, so let's save the changes, and now we need to restart our server. So yarn start, so that will trigger this, it will restart it. Okay, I close this, but why it's still showing this port isn't using? Okay, so use the another port number. Then it started our Metro bundler, and let me run our IO simulator one more time, and let me reload it. Now it's reloading the projects. So to reload it, you have to press R, just R in your keyboard. That will reload this project. If it is not reloading, try Control R or Command R. Now we can see our Tailwind CSS. It's configured successfully and it's up and working fine. So to make double verification, let's say background color BG gray, let's say 500. Save the changes, and now we can see our background color is also changed. So our Tailwind CSS is successfully configured and it's working perfectly how we expected it. Okay, so the next step is going to be, we need to install our React navigation so that user can navigate back and forth from one screen to another. So that's what we're going to do next. All right, so let's get back to our browser and search for React navigation. So click the React navigation over here and click read docs. So go through their documentation. So we're going to use the documentations to follow through it one by one. Okay, so here it's give us the minimum requirements, what you need to do if you're using Expo and all those things, what is the version number that it's supposed to be. So follow through, you should fulfill this minimum requirements and go through the installations. So we are not using npm, we are using yarn. So let me copy this command And over here, let me stop the server and let me paste it. Yarn add, that is installing that package. And let's go back here, and this is the next we need to download and install it. So for you can see that it's exactly the same command only, React Native screens and React Native safe area context. Click the on and download this, paste it, that will be downloaded. Scroll down. If you are using React Native, you need to link this, you need to run this command, but in this case we are not using React Native, we are using Expo, so we don't need to worry about it. So let's get back to the next article over here. So click this, that will take you to the next article. So we need to install this native stack layer. So click the yarn and copy this command, and you need to paste it over here. So this is for the stack navigation library. You need to create this stack navigator. So it helps us to navigate from one screen to another. So then over here, you can see how exactly you need to add the codings and everything in your app.js. So what you need to do is, all I have to do is to copy this line. So these two lines, import statements, copy those import statements, go back to your app.js and paste it over there. Then get back here, we need to create the stack object. So copy this and paste it right after here. That should be global objects. Then inside your app component, you need to create it like this: navigation container, then stack.navigator, then your stack.screen. Okay, so let me copy this content completely and get back to your return statement, paste it over here. Since we don't have this home screen, of course it's going to throw an error. So let's create a new screen inside our screens. So create new file, and that is going to be home screen.jsx and rnfe, React Native functional export. Save the changes. So what I'm going to do is, in future we might have a different screens, like multiple screens. So every time whenever I'm importing this, see here, if I'm importing it, it's going to import that home screen as a separate import. Think about it, if you're having 10 to 20 screens, so you will have 10 to 20 different import statements. So we don't want that. So let me delete this. To avoid that, what you can do, let's create a new file over here and name it as index.js. And I'm going to export this screen inside this index.js. So export default as home from /home screen. Okay, let's copy this and let's keep it the same name so we don't get confused. All right, now all we have to do, go back here and press control space or command space. That will shows you dot screen, import it, and now it will be imported as an object from these screens. So now if I have any new screens, it will be imported in the same line itself. Okay, so instead of going for multi-line import, we can write it in a single line itself. So save the changes. Now when I run this application, it should by defaultly it should load our home screen. So let's say yarn start, and let's press S. Why it's asking every time for me, I'm not sure. So let me open the iOS simulator and let me reload this. Yeah, it's reloading automatically and it's loading. It's loading the packages. Yep, it's loaded successfully, and now we can see we have our home screen. So we successfully configured our React navigations with our application. Now all we have to do is to configure this particular home screen like exactly the same way how we expected it. Okay, so let me open that the screens which we are going to design. So we keep it side by side, so that will really helps us. Let me open that screens. Okay, so here we go. So look at that, this is the screen so that we're gonna build. So basically this is the home screen and this is the category screen. Once you tap this, we're gonna use the exact same kind of view for our items display. Then when you tap any single icon, this is what we need to build. Okay, so let's go ahead and build this one. So let me get back to the home screen. So we having this home screen in our hand. Okay, so in the home screen you can see it's showing that header options and everything. So we need to, by default, we need to display this header options for every screen. So I can't keep on disable these screens one by one. So let's get back to the stack.navigator. So there you can find the option screen options. So open the object. Here inside you can see the header shown object. Header shown, disable that option, false, save changes. Keep this as S, spelling mistake, false. Now you can see it's displaying the home screen at the top end. Okay, so let's get back to the our home screen. Let me close this. Let's go to the home screen. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to customize this home screen. So basically, instead of customizing this home screen, I'm going to create it as an, let's keep it as, that's a landing screen, right? So let's create it as a landing screen or onboarding screen, something. Home screen is the place where we can display this categories and everything. So let's create one more screens and let's keep it as onboarding screen .jsx and rnfe, say the changes, and let's go to the index.js and let's copy it and paste it one more time, and let's export this onboarding screen, copy this, paste it over here, and then let's go back to here and let me copy it and paste it. Instead of on home screen at the first one, I'm going to bring the onboarding screen in the top, on not this one. Onboarding screen, what is this? Onboarding screen, yeah, here it is. Let me copy this and let me keep it over here, because that's the exact name we are using, because this is using this name only we can navigate it from one place to another. So I'm going to use this exact same name. From one screen to another you can move back and forth by using this name only. So now you can see by default it's loading the onboarding screen. Okay, so let's customize our onboarding screen. Go to your onboarding screen. Okay, so now what we need to do is, so I'm going to change the complete background colors, stuffs and everything. So let's start writing the customizations classes. So class name, it's going to be so flex, of course it should take the complete available space, so flex 1, so that will take the all the available space in the entire screen. Then everything should be aligned in the center, and justify in the both vertical and the horizontal, it should be in the center. And the bg color, I'm going to give my custom color over here. If you want to give your custom color in the Tailwindcss, all you have to type the utility class property and open the square bracket, type your custom property inside that space. So here I'm just going to say hash 0402 and 0t, like this. Save the changes, and now we have that background color over there. So then what we need to do, we need to make this view as a relative position. So save the changes. So now instead of this onboarding text, I'm gonna bring an image. So I'm going to bring an image. That image is going to overlap this complete view. So let's bring that image, open the image. So you need to import the image component from the React Native. So choose that and import it. So here we having that so that background, so over here we're having this background bg. So we're having this background bg. So let's go here and let me share that assets with you. So assets, go to the assets. So you can download this background image, this bg image, which I given in the description below. So click that link and download this background image, or you can use your own image as well. So let me copy or bring this into our project folder and put it in the assets folder over there. All right, so now we have our bg.png. So let me load this file, and to bring this, what we can do is to load the image, of course we need to create, because later in future you might have a multiple images as well. Just like the same way we need to create the index.js inside the assets as well, index.js, and I'm just going to say export by default as bg from dot slash bg.png. Okay, so save the changes. Now I can supply that image over here. All I have to do is to give the source for this image. So source is equals supply that bg object from your assets folder. So make sure that is imported. So then I need to give some height and width for this image, otherwise it will not be displayed over there. So basically this image should take the complete height of the parent width. That means for your this parent view, whatever the height it's having, take that complete height and width of that. Width and height should be full, and object should always cover the entire space. Cover. Save the changes. Now it should load that image over here. All right, so now we have that image in over here. So then what we need to do, I need to display the content inside this area. Okay, so you notice that when you are creating a screen, our content is in the inside the notch display. So we need to bring our content in the safe area. So to do that, we are using the safe area view. So if you want to learn about this image and the safe area view and all those things, go to your browser and search for React Native. Go to the documentation over here and search for safe area view. Click this and go through this documentation so that you can see how to use the safe area view and what are the props that it supported. If you click this view props, you can see all the props that is supported by this particular component. All right, so please go ahead and go through this documentation completely. All right, so let me get back over here and let's say safe area view. I'm going to import the package from the React Native now. Okay, so click the React Native, choose it, close the bracket, save the changes. Inside this safe area view, now I'm going to bring one more view inside. Let's bring that view, and that view is going to have the class name as width full and flex. That means by default it is in column direction, and padding in the left and right. I'm going to add some padding effect, and inside this view I'm going to bring two different text boxes, one for this mobile, and another one is for this 4K wallpaper. So let's go ahead. It's going to show mobile. Let me copy and paste it, and this is going to display 4K wallpaper. Save changes, and now it should display that, but the problem is it's going right under this image. So what I need to do is I need to make this as an absolute position so that I can see that text over there. So let's keep it as absolute, and it should be always top of everything. So z index 10, then it should pinned to the left, right, and bottom, top everywhere. So I'm just going to say insert 0 instead of writing like top 0, left 0, right 0, bottom 0. I can simply use insert 0, and then we can save everything inside this. It should be flex, item center, and justify center. So let's save the changes, and now we can see our mobile app over there. Okay, so instead of keeping it in the center location, let me keep it at the starting position, justify start, so that will keep your content in the top area. But I don't want it to be over here in this position exactly. I need to bring it over here, just like this place over here. All right, so what we can do is let's customize this, then we can write that. So class name for this is going to be, we can say it as text Excel, and text, I'm going to give a very customized color. So let me bring that color over here. Let me copy it and paste it. So hash, copy it and paste it, and then class name, it's going to be, so we need to use a customized size, text 54 pixel, then text white color, and tracking wider, there should be some space in between in it, each and every letter. So tracking wider, and font bold, it should be bold. Save the changes. Now it looks like this. So we need to bring it bottom over there. So for this, after this px4, I'm gonna say padding top 44. Save the changes. So that should come over here. So the next thing is what we need to design is like we need to bring a button. We need to bring a button. So we're gonna design a button. So what we can do is let's right after this view, I'm gonna create one more view. Okay, I'm gonna create one more view, and this view is going to take the complete width. Class name, it's going to take the complete width, and padding it's going to be 60. All right, so then inside this view I'm going to create one more view that is going to look, that's for our button. Okay, so class name, and I'm going to change, like I'm going to add this width full property, and I'm going to add this background color and few more styles as well. So let me copy it and paste it. All right, like this. So save the changes. So now we can see we have that button over there. Then let me enable the word wrap so that you can see everything word wrap. And inside this view, I'm going to bring one more text tab. So text, class name. Okay, so for the text, I have a very specific list of colors. So let me bring that styles over here like this, text and this color patterns and everything. Save the changes. And that should display your text in between. So let's say get started. Save the changes. So that will display that text. But the problem is this button should come at the bottom. So let's bring this from here to margin top. Let's keep it as 96. Save the changes. Oops. Save the changes. So that will brings the button over here. All right, but still this button doesn't have a nice interactions. It looks like a plain box or like a plain design. It doesn't have any, like whenever you're tapping something, you should have some that some nice animations or tapping opacity layer over there. So for that, we need to use this touchable opacity. Search for touchable opacity is one. So this helps us to give us a nice layer. Whenever you're clicking it, you can see this having this nice that animations, and if you're, and it allow us to write this on press event also whenever you're pressing it what you want to do. So that helps us to write that on press event. You can't write that on press event for a normal view. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from where is this division is view is ending, it's over here. So hold your alt key or option key, and then change this to double click it, and then you can enable the multi cursor editor, sorry, and then you can say touchable touchable opacity. It's not showing the suggestion, so let me import it, then I can create it. So touchable opacity. All right, so let me copy this name and let me create a multi cursor editor one more time and paste it. So now if you click this button, you can see we have this nice animation over there. Cool, right? So then I need to create an on press event for it. On press, I'm gonna call this callback function, right? So whenever you're calling that function, one second. All right, so I'm going to call a callback function. So let's click the callback, enable the callback function. Okay, so now what we need to do is whenever the user clicking this, that should take the user to our home screen. So for that, we need to create a navigation, we need to use the use navigation hook, which is provided by your React navigation itself. So here I'm just going to say const navigation equals use navigation React native. So use navigation hook, save the changes, And now whenever I'm clicking this, I'm just going to say navigation dot navigate to the screen. Type the screen name to which screen you are willing to navigate. So let me close this, let me go to the app, copy this and supply that name over here. Save the changes. Now when I click this, that will take the user to the home screen, and if I can use the gestures also to get back to the previous screens. Okay, so now all we need to do is to create our home screen, which is exactly should looks like this. All right, so let's go ahead and design that particular area. Get back to our categories screen. So let's go here. Let me go to the home screen. Okay, so now we need to start design our home screen. Okay, so now let's see. Let me go to the onboarding screen and let's copy this view, which is going to say, let me copy this and let me go to the home screen and let me replace this one. Say the changes. Okay, so then what we need to do, we need to bring this safe area as well. So let me copy this safe area as well. Otherwise, let's type it. So safe area view, React Native, always choose the React Native package. So for the safe area view, class name, it's going to be, we're going to say this, it should take the complete length available. So copy these classes. Okay, I'm going to paste it. Flex, width and height and everything is full. Item center, justify start, gap, it's going to be 4. Save the changes and now it looks like that. So then inside here, I'm going to create a view which is going to display these two options, 4K wallpapers and this icon over there. So let me go back here. Let me bring a view, and this basically this view is going to display two contents in the same row. So of course it's going to be the flex row. So it should take the complete available width and padding px. The left and right should be around 6, like 24 pixels. Then it should be flex row because it's going to display it in a row. Item center and justify between. Okay, so inside this I'm going to bring a text box. So text, it's going to be, which is going to display 4K wallpaper, and the text class name, it's going to be class name, which is going to be like text to excels, text gray. Copy it, paste it over here. So save the changes, and now that will display the 4K wallpaper here. So the next thing over here, it's an icon, all right, which is basically a dot icon. So what we can do is let's go ahead and install the icons for our application. So search for expo icons. If you search for expo icons, so it's better to always use the expo related product, because since we are using the expo project, so try to search for maximum use the expo related the components and the expo related products and everything. Okay, so click this expo documentation, expo icon documentation, click this. That will gives you the way how to install the expo icons and everything. Okay, so we are going to install this expo icons. Where is that icon name? Yeah, here is, this is the one. This is the one that we need to install. Okay, so copy this expo icons, copy this at expo vector icons. Otherwise search, you can see here the npm itself. You can download this, you can copy the command from this website. Okay, so in this case I'm just going to copy this expo vector icons and go here, open the terminal, create a new tab. Okay, so let me create a new tab and let's say yarn add save changes at expo vector icons. So that will download it. In the meanwhile, let's get back to here and click this expo vector icons, this very first link, .expo.fyi. So that will gives you the icons, whatever the icons that you wish. So let's say if I search for dot, you can see we have this dot option. So we need to use this dot 3 vertical option. So let me click this and let me copy this, go back here, it's downloaded, and let me import that package over here, paste it. Let me get back here, copy this, and let me paste it over here. Instead of this size, it's going to be 24, and the black color, it's going to be white color. Save the changes. It's refreshing, and now you can see your icon over there. So basically this icon should have some touchable opacity, so I'm going to wrap this icon into touchable opacity. So let me bring the touchable opacity, React Native, close it, paste it, save the changes. Later, if you want to add any on press event for this, we can do that on press event for that button. Cool, right? So then what we need to do, we need to bring this specific area, which this nice masonry layout. I don't know how to pronounce it. So masonry layout. All right. So here, after this view is a scrollable container. You can scroll up and down. So we need to bring a scroll view. So to do that, we're going to use the tag called scroll view. All right. So right after here, press enter, and this should take the complete available space. So class name, it's going to be width full. Of course, it's going to take the complete width, and height is also going to be full, and both left and right is going to use 4. Okay. So now inside here, I need to bring that masonry layout. So to bring this amazing masonry layout, we're going to use this, search for masonry layout React Native. This is the one we're going to use, React Native masonry layout. So click it. There are lots of available packages over there. Okay, so masonry layout, we're going to use this one, but instead of going through that, you can click this guy, this particular, which it's having a nice documentation better than this. So click this. Okay, so then scroll down a bit. We're going to use this React Native masonry list, and if you scroll down, you can see what are the different types of, like 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, how it should look in a real-time application. So this depends on your requirements. In this case, we're going to use the 2 columns. So what you need to do, you need to install this command. So click this and get back to your application, open your terminal, and add that in your package list. So let's get back here. Then we need to import this one, copy this command. Okay, so what we need to do is, instead of wrapping it inside this complete content, inside your a single component, inside the single component, we need to create it as a reusable component. First, let's try to create this component and let's see how exactly the designs and everything it's looking. Later, we'll try to convert this into a reusable component. All right. So let me get back here and import that statement at the top, masonry layout, and let's scroll down. You can see how to use all their props and everything, how to customize the loading view, and how to have the on refresh what you want to do, on loading what you want to do. You can customize all these props and everything. Okay, so if you scroll down, you can see this usage tab. Copy this, copy, go back, paste it over here, paste it. Okay, so of course we don't have this like before pasting it. What we can do is let's say basically we're going to display the categories, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to bring the category use state snippet, so categories, and then initially it's going to be null. Let me import this use state, otherwise it will throw an error. Import it. So I'm going to check it over here. So category, if we have the categories, I need to display something. If I don't have, I need to display something. So if I don't have, what I need to do, I need to display that loading icon over there. So for that, I'm going to bring the activity indicator. Yes, activity indicator. It's a self-closing tag, and here inside you need to say color. The color prop is going to be hash ff0000. Then the size it's going to be large. Save changes. So now it's showing that activity indicator over there. Cool. So then what we can do is we can bring the masonry. If there is a data, of course we're going to bring that masonry layout over here. So let me bring that masonry layout over here. Okay, so then what we need to do is, since we don't have this the items, so we don't have the items and all those things, the filter items and all those things, we need to create everything. So I'm going to remove some informations on refresh and all those things. I don't need this, so let me delete this. And we need to bring the data. So instead of this filter item, I'm going to supply the data over here. Okay, so what we can do is over here, I'm just going to create a dummy informations. Const data equals an array. Inside this array, we're going to create an array of objects, basically, which is going to have the id colon 1, name colon, then image URL colon. So let's get back to the Pixabay and download some images. Pixabay nature. So let's click this, click this, click this. Okay, this 3 images, it's enough. So copy the image address. Let me copy this for 3 to 4 times, and let me change this number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these things is for just for UI build. We are using this customized data. But later we're going to use the Sanity to build our own website and API endpoints to bring those data from our website. Okay, so don't worry. Just for the time being, we are using the designing purpose. We are using these things. All right. So I'm just going to say nature over here. Let me copy this and create multi-line string so that we can use the same name just for UI purpose only, right? Let me copy this image address and paste it several times in a different places. Copy image address, then copy image address. So make sure they have unique IDs. Okay, so now we need to use this data inside here. So I'm going to supply this data. So it's using type string the TypeScript. So what we can do is, instead of this, I'm just going to delete this type. Okay, because basically the package which we are copying the code from, it's written in TypeScript. We need to change it into JavaScript. Okay, so now we have the ID property through this inside this data. We are using that as a key, and we are supplying the data over here, and we are specifying the number of columns and show the vertical scroll indicator. If you want to show that vertical scroll indicator, enable this to true. I don't want to display it. And render item. So every time whenever you're rendering it, what particular item that you want to render it. So I need to create this card item. Otherwise you can render it this item directly over there, but it's better to keep it as a separate component. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to create an internal component over here. So const card item, it's equals, open it. Okay, so this card item, it's going to like what we can say, it's going to take a 2 different prop. We need to send the item, the complete item, inside this card. So this card item is going to take a property which is nothing but your data prop. First you need to send your data inside data. Okay, that data property inside. All right, then what we need to do is, like, let's bring we need to say return the component, and here we're just going to say this, whenever you're clicking, we need to have that a clickable field. So let's bring the touchable opacity, close it, and inside here I'm just going to load that image. So let's bring that image, React Native self-closing tag, and here I'm just going to say class name. Okay, so class name handle, class name, it's going to be this styles. Let me copy these styles and let me paste it over here. Save the changes. And for the image, we're going to display this URL over there. So to display that image URL, so source is going to be open another object, because basically that's a URL. So you need to send the URL by using this URI object, URI colon. So previously we never used this URI object because we are loading the image from the local file. In this case, right now it's loading the image from a URL, so you need to supply it inside a URI object. Okay, so here I just need to say data dot image URL. All right, so then supply a class style. So let me copy this and let me paste it over here. Save the changes, and this cart items will never load because we need to supply the data for this. So we're having a prop called data. So to the data prop, we need to send the item. So we need to send this specific item because that is the item which is being rendered every single time, right? So let's send that item inside item, because that is, we are rendering it, we are getting that item, then we need to send that item because this is the place we are getting the item, render item. So we need to send the item inside over there. All right, so save the changes. Since it's not showing that option, is because still it's looking for the condition for categories. Why is that? It's looking for categories. So let me scroll up over here. Instead of, for the time being, instead of categories, let me change it to data. Oops, let me change this to data, the local object which you have. Later we'll change it to our state. Save the changes. Now if we click get started, we are getting an error like is loading next doesn't exist. Of course, for refreshing we don't have this object, so let me delete this. Save the changes, click get started, and now you can see it's loading that image, but it's not loading it in a proper way. The reason is because we never fixed the height for this particular component. Okay, since it's showing it in a 2 columns, but it's not fixing the height. So we need to give the height by ourselves. So I'm going to calculate the height in a unique way. So let's go to this touchable opacity. So by using this style property, I'm going to fix the height. So equals, open the object. So height, we're going to fix the height by using this math dot round. Then I'm going to use the random function, math dot random, get the random number and multiply it by 100, then add 200 pixels with it. Okay, save the changes. Now you can see we have this nice masonry layout. So every time whenever you are refreshing it, this will be going to shuffle up and the size will going to be changed. So now if I refresh it, oh goodness, not here. If I click refresh, or that will reload the project, click get started, and look at that, the size will look different much before now. And if I click it, it's having this nice touchable opacity also. Cool, right? Fine. So then what we need to do is we need to build this screen. So this is the screen that we need to build. So that is nothing but the screen is like item, it's a single item screen. Okay, so there is one more screen also. Basically this is displaying the categories. So we can reuse this complete masonry layout according to the screens. So if whenever I'm clicking from here, it should load the categories screen, and once I tap a specific item, it should display that specific categories list of items. Okay, I hope you understand. So you see here, right now this is the group of categories like musics and cats and everything. If I tap this music, I need to bring all the items which is related to that music categories. So that's the screen we need to build one more. That's the reason we need to keep this particular component as a reusable component. So what we need to do is, all we have to do is to create a new file, and let's say masonry masonry layout dot .jsx, and in the index copy it and paste it, masonry layout, copy it and paste it over here, save the changes. All right, inside this masonry we don't have anything, so let's say rnfe, save the changes, and from the home screen I'm gonna cut these things, cut it, and I'm going to bring it over here, paste it. Then these things also, completely cut this card item, cut it from here and bring it over here. And what we need to do, and we need to bring the import statements also, right? So this is the thing, cut it and bring it over here. What else? Touchable opacity, let's import it, React Native. Image, let's import it, React Native. And data, everything is coming, card item is coming from here. So here there is no mistakes. So let's go back here, and in this particular location we need to bring our masonry layout, and now we need to send the data. This data is basically going to come from here only, because we need to write an API endpoint to get that complete category list in future, but right now we are using this data, so we need to send this data from here only. So here I'm going to pass this data through the data prop data. So let me go here and create a data prop, data, save these changes and save this changes also. Now still it's working everything exactly in the same way. Now we need to reuse the same component in a different way. Okay, so by default what we are going to do is we're going to send the name of the screen. Okay, so the reason why we are sending the name of the screen is because when I click this, if I click this, basically it's a category. When I click this category, any specific category, it needs to load the same component one more time with a different data which belongs to that particular categories. Okay, so that's why we need to create one more property, but that we will do it by the time when you are creating a server API and all those things, so that you can understand it very clearly. So in this part we are just going to create the UI screens. So since this is a repetitive same code only, so we don't need to worry about that screen. We can discuss about that screen later. Okay, so now what we need to do, all we have to do is to build the screen. So for the time being, if I click tab, I need to load this image completely in this way. So let's see how to do that. Okay, so to do that, now what we need to do is I have to create one more screen. So let me create it like as item.jsx, and I'm just going to say rnfe, oh not this one, rnfe, save the changes. Let's go to the index and copy this and paste it, and I'm going to change this to item, copy this, paste it over here, save the changes, and let's go back to the item screen. All right, so now what we need to do is whenever I'm tapping this masonry layout, that should goes to let's see, one second, when I tap that masonry layout, that should take the user to on tap, we need to take that user user to that specific screen, like what exact screen it's that we are willing to take that. Okay. So what we need to do is when I click this, it's need to take to one more screen, which is going to display the list of items which is belongs to this screen. Okay, so that's the place it's going to take that user. All right. So now what we need to do is um, since that I already told you, since that is the repeated, the same reusable component only, so we don't need to worry about that right now. But when I click this, we need to send this ID. We need to send this ID. Using this ID only, we can fetch that information, or what we can do, we can send that complete data itself. We can send that complete data itself. Otherwise, yeah, because see the proper planning for your backend also, you need to plan it properly, otherwise it will be very complicated. So right now what we're going to do is, like, we are going to, whenever I'm tapping this, I need to send an ID to our item. So using that item ID, we can fetch it later from our database. Whenever you're loading the server stuffs and everything, we can fetch the data from there. So let's go to the item over here. When I click this masonry, I need to handle that event, right? So this is the card, this is the place where we are clicking that. So let's create an on click event for this. On click, sorry, on press, force of habit, on press. It's a callback function. Otherwise we can say it is as handle click. We created this function, copy it inside here. I'm just going to create that function, const handle click equals an arrow function, and inside this function we need to get that navigation. So const navigation equals use navigation hook provided by your React navigation. So I need to navigate the user, navigation dot navigate dot navigate. I need to navigate the user to that item. So I need to navigate the user to this item screen. Then along with this, I need to send a data object also. So I'm sending a parameter, param, which is nothing but data dot ID. Okay, I'm sending this ID. So now I need to get this ID in the item screen. So let's go to the item. So React navigation by defaultly it's provide you a data prop, which is nothing but your route. Through the navigator stack navigator, you can get this route property at any components. Then you can extract the parameter from that route property. So I'm just going to say const id equals route question mark dot param question mark dot param. So basically this, it should be params. So this params is the default object, and this param is our object which is coming from this particular location. Okay, so param, we're gonna get that, and I'm just going to console log it, console.log id, save the changes. Let's bring it, let's refresh it. Let me reload the application, reloading it. Let's click the get started. If I click this, do you have a screen named item? The problem is we haven't added that item screen in our app.js. That's the issue. Copy this. Okay, and I'm just going to bring the item screen inside. That's the problem. Item, and the screen name is also going to be item. Save the changes. Reload it one more time. Click it. Click this, and now you can see we have that ID over here in our console. Let me go back by using gesture, and I can click this. See, it's showing that ID. Okay, So now later when we have our server backend APIs and all those things, we can send this ID and we can fetch the current information and we can display it over there. All right, so cool. So now what we need to do for the time being, just for this UI sake, I need to display some image. I need to bring this icon and I need to bring this blur view over there to display the name and this download options and everything. All right, so let's go that and build that screen now. So let's go to the item screen. Okay, so now what we need to do is this item screen, of course, it's going to exactly the same as our onboarding screen. Okay, there is no changes in that. So let's copy this, some content from our onboarding screen. Copy this index. Sorry, not index. Where is our item? Let me close this thing. It's confusing a lot. Go to the item and let me bring this and replace it over here. Cool. Then what we need to do, we need to bring that which is that we need to bring that activity indicator, because by the time when you're trying to fetch the data from the server, of course we need to show that activity indicator screen. So I'm going to create a use state prop. So let me delete this. We know that it's working fine. So use state snippets and is loading. I'm just going to keep it true for the time being, and I'm just going to say that if is loading is true, then I need to display something. If it is not, I need to display something. All right, so in this particular location, I'm going to say that activity indicator React Native. So the color of this is going to be class name. It is going to be hash ff0000, and the size is going to be it's going to be large L small case. Save the changes. Color code is not working. ff0000 only. It's not class name, it is color. Sorry, my bad. Color, save the changes, and now you can see it's having that nice activity indicator. Since now whenever you're fetching the data, you can enable this state so that this will display this loading animation once you fetch that data from your server. So we can disable this state one more time, so that will display that image. Just for the time being, we are just going to load the static information, so we don't need to worry about that for the time now. And I'm just going to change the state to false. If this is false, this React fragment is going to be displayed over there. Inside this React fragments, I'm going to bring that image. So we're going to bring that image over here. Okay, so we're going to bring that image. So let's see, which is exactly the same way, same size as your onboarding screen. So let me copy this and let me bring it. But instead of this, I'm going to open this URI object and I'm going to get that image. Okay, but for the time being, that image should be it will come from a server, but right now we don't have the server configurations and everything. We need to use any dummy image so far. So what I can do is I can go to the home screen and I can copy any image from here and I can supply that URL over here. So that should display the image. It's not imported, so let's import that image from React Native. Save it, click get started. If I click anything, that will take us to the item screen and it's loading that image over here. So now we have that image in a full screen. Okay, so let me use something different images, so it's not looking good, that good. Let me bring some other image. Close this, get back. Let's choose the orientations to vertical and let's choose any image from here. Which one is looking good? Anyway, since it's going to be a dummy image only, So let's use something nicer. So I think that's looking not bad. Hmm. Which one is looking good, guys? Let me know your opinion in the comment box. Okay, I'll go with this. Let me copy this image address, get back to our project, update the URL. So now we have that image over here. Not bad. Look at that. So now what we need to do, we need to bring that safe area view just like the same way. Let me copy this safe area view, copy it, and right after this paste it and close that safe area view also. And we need to import the safe area view also from the React Native. Save the changes. Now we enable the React Native safe area. So then we need to bring that icon. So what we can do is from the onboarding screen, I can bring that icon not from here. Go to the home screen. We have this touchable icon. So let's copy this, that triple dot icon. Instead of triple dot, we're gonna change this. Let's get back to our browser. Go to your expo icons, click back and search for back icon, back. And we can find this arrow mark, this one. But we're gonna use something, a different, what's the icon name? That is going to be Ionicons. Where it is? Ionicons. Arrow back. Okay, let's use this one itself. Let me copy this and import this package. Let me copy this and bring this in this location. Let me import this touchable opacity from React Native. Change this color to white. Save the changes. So that will look like this. But this icon size is very too small. I'm going to change this to 32. And instead of it is going to be item center, I'm going to change I'm going to change this instead of changing this, if you are changing this item center, then the rest everything will be affected. So what we can do, we can create this width as full, let's keep the width as full, then flex and padding as 4, px4. Save changes. Now it will be in the corner. So instead of changing the item center or justify start, we can just update this view, so that will be perfectly fine. All right, so then right after here, what we need. All right, so now what we can do is let's create a view. Okay, so this rest of the place, it's everything is going to be a complete space. It should be occupied completely. So we create a view and let's say class name, and that is going to have the complete width as full, height as full, and it's going to be a relative position. And inside this, I'm going to bring one more view class name. So this place, now we are taking this as a complete view, not this layer. Inside this layer only we have this blur view, because we need to have some padding, right? So for that padding, I'm going to wrap it into as a separate view, and we need to bring that layer at the bottom of that position. So right now, if you are using any background color over here, BG, something like red or something, see here, let me give some color, save the changes. Now you can see it's occupying the complete layer. And let me give some color for this BG red 100. Okay, not 100, or let's give it as 400. And this is going to take it's going to be an absolute position, and it's going to be in the bottommost from 48 pixel above from the bottom, and each and every left and right corner should be pinned in the both sides. Then save the changes, and let me add some padding. Let's P4 so that you can see the color. See this in this particular position that we're gonna bring that this layer. All right, so I'm just going to remove these colors, so I don't want these colors, just for to understanding this view. Save the changes. Instead of this padding, I'm going to keep it as px4 because we need padding only in the left and right. And then inside this, I'm going to bring that blur view. So we have a blur view in Expo. So if you want to achieve that glass morphism, you can search for Expo blur view. Search for Expo blur view, click that, and you can see you need to install this package Expo blur. So copy this, go to the terminal and paste, not like this, yarn add blur, run it, then copy this import statement, close this, paste it over here. Then let's create that style. So let me enable the blur view self-closing tag, and you can see it's having different layers, different layers like intensity. What is the intensity, and what is the theme that you are going to light or dark theme? Okay, so you can choose that. So here I'm just going to fix the class name first, class name. Okay, so then save the changes. Now you can see we have that blur effect over there, and let's adjust the intensity effect. Intensity, using the intensity prop, let's say the intensity is going to be 60. Now you can see this is the intensity, and I can change this intensity tint to dark. So that looks like this. And inside this blur view, now we need to bring that, instead of keeping it as a self-closing tag, I can make it as a normal tag, and inside here we can bring this text and as well as this icon. So basically that is going to be one more view inside view, and this is going to be flex row, class name flex row. Okay, so flex row, item center, justify between, item center and justify between, and gap between is going to be the each and every object, it's going to be 3. Okay, all right, so then enter. We can say not flex row, this is for text, right? This view is for text, they are in a column direction only, so we can keep it as a column itself. So let's bring one text over here, text, which is going to be let's give some title for the time being. Then let's copy it, and here some description, and then we just need to adjust the styles of these both objects. Later we'll just update these informations according to the data which we are going to fetch it from the database. Okay, so let me paste these two styles, and for the description I'm just going to delete this. So then save the changes, so that will display your title and some description over here. So right after this view, I need to bring that the download icon, touchable download icon. So let's open that touchable opacity, close it, and let me bring this icon, icon, so the cloud download icon over here. Save the changes, and now we can see we have that icon over there. So when I click this, I need to take the user to the back screen. So where is that? Over here, I'm gonna say on press. We need to get that navigation object, right? So we don't have the navigation object, so let's get that object, const navigation, equals use navigation hook. Then I'm going to call a callback function over here, and you can navigate the user navigation dot navigate. Let's say that is going to be the screen. So for the time being, that is going to be home screen. Later we need to change this to a category screen. So home screen, save the changes. So now if I click this, it will take back over here, and if I choose this again, it will load the same image. Okay, so everything is working fine so far, the UI part. When I the only one thing that we need to update in the UI is because this is the categories, list of categories. When I click this, I need to load the same screen with the list of items which is specified and belong to that specific category. Okay, so that's the only thing we need to update in the this UI part. Apart from that, everything we are done. And the next important thing now we need to implement, that is our server. That is for the second part. So stay tuned, and the server, the coding will be uploaded soon. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed the session throughoutly. If you have any questions in this video, please let me know in the comment box, so I will help you out. And all the assets and the URL links, everything is attached in the description, so you can use it for your learning purpose. So I'll see you in the next part. Have a great day ahead.